In today's video, we're again going to be focusing on that potential major snowfall event for the Ohio Valley, Upper Midwest, and the Great Lakes, as well as some of the northeastern states. We do have other snowstorms and other big cooldowns to discuss today, so be sure to stay tuned if you live anywhere in the United States. Now, before we get into things, be sure to check out Prestige Weather in the description, pinned comment, and the top right corner of your screen. We do weather consulting for businesses and individuals alike. We do a lot of consulting calls, consulting emails, consulting texts, and we have an exclusive community for you guys for weather consulting. It's all for only $5 a month, and we're actually running a promotion right now for Black Friday. If you put in the code DIRECT at checkout, you will get your first month for only $1. Be sure to check it out today. Now, we are extending that promo for another couple of days until December 8th, so be sure to redeem your first month for only 99 cents. We do just so many great things within our community that you guys would receive access to. So many of you have been eating up that promo code, and I can't thank you enough. We're so happy to have so many new happy members on board. Hopefully you'll consider joining as well, again, by clicking that link to check it out today. Let's dive into things, and this is another late night special, so we're going to be diving straight towards tomorrow on Wednesday, December 6th. Now, I think it's worth noting that we do have some snowfall showers here across some portions here of the interior mid-Atlantic is what I would call it, so some areas in here. We definitely have these areas. I'm trying to get my pen right here. It's just too small. There we go. This should be right. There we go. Third try. And we have it. So we have some snowfall happening here across a lot of the Appalachian Mountains, even extending into some areas east of those mountainous ranges for areas like Pennsylvania, Virginia, North Carolina, New York. Keep in mind that through the central regions of these states, we could be seeing some snow showers overnight tonight into tomorrow, mostly again Tuesday into Wednesday overnight. So we're going to be watching for that. Clearly, we can see that the jet stream does support something like this because we have really deep cold along the eastern seaboard, and that's what's creating the potential for some snowfall below freezing temperatures, of course. As we move towards Thursday the 7th here, we start to see downstream here on the jet stream, we have some pretty intense storms happening for the northwest as we have some low pressure systems moving through, mostly ahead of everything. We have 994 here in southern Canada, 1003 down here in eastern Colorado, and these are kind of tandem teaming, if you will, just to kind of create all of this precipitation back to the west of these lows. And also they are driving this jet stream towards the north here as we see this ridging, just really intense warmth over the central states. So mostly the coldest areas here that we're seeing is going to be for the northwest there, and then also the northeast here as well, so with warmth mostly in between. That's not going to be the temperature for, or the pattern really overall for long. As we reach Friday here on December 8th, we do see a 997 millibar low pressure center there near the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma. Also a 993 up here in south central Canada, mostly only impacting Canada up there. We do see heavier snowfall occurring for a lot of the Rockies, even back through the Cascades. We do have some snow showers. As a result of all of this, I want to keep moving ahead though, and by the time we reach Saturday here on the 9th, we do see that this low is located over Missouri. We now see snowfall here for Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota. These models have been jumping all over the board with this storm. We've seen at times that this low wants to track through West Virginia, Ohio, and Kentucky. Clearly, that is a multi-hundred-mile difference between what we're seeing here. So we're keeping it really broad with our thoughts. Any snowfall can occur in between basically the plains here and kind of the eastern states. It's going to land probably somewhere in between those two areas. I hate that I even have to say probably because that's a pretty broad grasp of what this storm could do. But for such a thin band of snowfall that we're anticipating, it is pretty interesting how far we have to consider potential snowfall here with how these models are jumping across the board. We do expect these to consolidate here pretty soon and have a better idea of what to expect. This could be the final solution. We'll have to kind of wait and see if they trend and continue in a different direction, or if we see some pretty static model runs. For instance, if we see the next few runs showing the exact same solution or at least something very close, that would have me feeling a little bit more confident that they're starting to nail down a specific forecast here. We could see that overnight Saturday into Sunday. That's going to be the 9th into the 10th. Missouri, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Michigan are the highlight here for heavier snowfall. As things kind of progress eastward, though, what we see is that this primary low kind of transfers a lot of its energy southward here to this new 998 millibar low pressure center. So that's going to take over as your primary storm system. And as this happens, look at this. This is another reason why we have to consider such a wide band of snowfall, because we have now a 978 millibar low pressure center near Lake Erie. And we have cold air damming to the west. And what this means is, keep in mind, low pressure systems they spin in a counterclockwise motion. A lot of this is helping to force these winds from the north to move southward across the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes, bringing colder air in, and that's why we see these below freezing temperatures bring snowfall as far south as potentially Tennessee, North Carolina, and northern Georgia. Can't be ruled out at this point, especially in hilly regions with some elevation at play, because of that cold air damming that is taking place. We see more and more areas switch over to snowfall here. Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia seeing very heavy snowfall, eastern Michigan as well. And then this thing just really, really hightails it out of here to the north, dropping all the way down to a 966 millibar low pressure center over eastern Canada. An extremely strong storm at that point. Now, keep in mind, all of this snowfall, I just want to add a couple notes in here, happens very quickly for a lot of these areas. So accumulation is going to happen in a hurry oftentimes here. And that is going to limit the amounts of total snowfall as long as we see this very quick moving storm overall. We might be looking at a bullseye of maybe 6 to 10 to 15 inches in the absolute bullseye with this type of a storm moving at this speed. If it slows down, that's when you're talking much higher totals potentially. Keep that in mind. I also want to mention, just like we did yesterday, in this upper Midwest, Great Lakes, and Ohio Valley area, we are specifically looking for businesses that work in the outdoors to do consulting for with Prestige Weather. So if you are a business owner and you want weather consulting, we are weather people in your pocket. You can text us, email us, call us, and we are going to give you all the details that you need, really. We can cater it to whatever you need, and it's such a beautiful thing. We've had so many happy clients, and we would love to have you on board. So if you're interested in anything like that, be sure to click the link, go to our website, and you will find an email sign-up sheet on our business section, and you can email us today. That email is prestigeweather@gmail.com. Just in case you can't find it, you can email us there, and we can get started. Let's keep going. I just wanted to mention that, and as we go in towards Tuesday here, we see more cold air intruding on the east. We get a little bit of this is an interesting system. I wouldn't call it a clipper because it's certainly moving southward, not really moving eastward like you would see on a classic clipper system. So we're seeing snowfall for New Mexico, Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska there. All these states are seeing some snowfall as a result of this. But look at this model. We really just see that low get cut off. We really just see it stick in the south central states and never really get an upturn motion towards it moving southward. It just kind of dips and continuously dips southward, and eventually is likely going to fizzle out because there's not really a lot of cold to support it up to the north. So likely this type of situation would fizzle out unless we see some sort of connection with this trough up here. Very interesting that this one doesn't really get a northward pull at all. It's almost like it gets left behind from the jet stream there. We do see pretty heavy snowfall here for New Mexico, western Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska. Pretty interesting storm. Let's move on to the GFS model here. I want to take us towards our initial storm that we're talking about. Drops down to a 999 over central Illinois there, bringing snowfall to Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Wisconsin there. We do see this one continuously bring heavy snowfall to the Great Lakes. Keep in mind that around this point, we would have seen most of the energy transfer from this initial low that I'm underlining here to the secondary low underneath, according to our European model at least. But here on this GFS model, we can see we still have about a 986 millibar low pressure center near Michigan and a weak 1005 millibar low pressure center here in the kind of Smoky Mountains area. We're going to have to see if this really does transfer a lot of that energy like we saw in the European model. And it really doesn't. We don't see as much of that. I mean, even still by late on Sunday here, the 10th, we see a 980 up here to the north and a 998 here over New Jersey, really only supporting maybe some back-end snowfall showers. So we do have some pretty stark differences here between our European and GFS models, as you can tell. A whole lot of solutions on the table. It is interesting that we start to see some heavier snowfall by the time it reaches the mountainous areas of the northeast. I can see that being pretty realistic with those high elevation areas. But that does eventually come to an end. As we move further on this GFS model, we see that kind of cutoff storm dip to the south, but it does get that northward pull here actually, and eventually move across the east here. It does move offshore of North Carolina here as 1,001 millibar low pressure center. And look at this, it's moving in right as we have this deep trough over the east. And we begin to see snowfall here for Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, maybe even West Virginia. Certainly a very interesting situation. It moves off just offshore of New Jersey, and we have very heavy snowfall for Maryland, Pennsylvania, northern Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire. I think this is an interesting point. I know I just went over the areas that we're targeting businesses in. Also the Northeast, New England in particular, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. We are also specifically looking for businesses in this region that work outdoors. So with these upcoming potential snowfall events, if you are looking for somebody to have in your pocket, just to talk about the weather with you, any questions you might have, we're able to help people with timing of snowfall, different things that you really aren't going to be able to get from the TV or the internet in any sort of timely fashion. We're always there for you to call us, email us, text us, and we can answer all of those questions you might have, kind of just to end the frustration there that a lot of people that have outdoor companies that rely on what the weather is going to be like have. So particularly the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, and the Ohio Valley, and then the Northeast, but really we are open to helping anybody. These are just the two areas where we're specifically forecasting for. We have forecasters on our team, and we're looking to help you guys out. So be sure to contact us again using that email. Let's keep going. That storm does come to an end. We do get a couple of more storms impacting the Northeast, perhaps. It looks like we're on the verge of a pretty major cool down moving towards the east, it appears, over time, but this is very far out. Take it with a grain of salt. 384 hours out is ridiculous, and likely this will look very, very different. Let's move through some of these precipitations. We see that a lot of the areas expecting the most activity is going to be the Northwest here, the South Central states, and then also the Northeast, or better yet, just the entire East here as we see these storms kind of rising up. Keep that in mind, as that is really where we're expecting the most activity here. Total snowfall, obviously the western mountainous areas are experiencing a lot. We get that initial snowfall from our major snowfall event here across a lot of the plains into the upper Midwest, and then we get a pretty broad amount here for a lot of the Ohio Valley and the East, with some bullseye areas again in that kind of 6 to 10 inch range for the purples, those pinks across Missouri and Iowa, some there for Pennsylvania and New York with some lake effect happening perhaps. That's where we're looking at about 10 to 15. So that's kind of what I was referring to. When we look at the GFS, I'm going to go back to where we only have our initial storm here. We again see a bullseye of about 6 to 10. In this case, it's going to be for Wisconsin and Michigan, maybe even northern Illinois. And then we do get a couple of higher total areas for West Virginia and New York, where we're again seeing about 6 to 10, maybe 10 to 20 there in those pink areas across both of these regions. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. We will, of course, keep you guys up to date daily with this upcoming potential winter storm. We're going to be really tracking this one for you guys and talking about it every single day. So be sure to subscribe. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.